No one is a bigger or more dangerous sycophant than Kash Patel. This political hack does not deserve to be in this building.
He is a yes man for President Trump, already undermining the critical bureau he wants to lead, already demonstrating an alarming willingness to do the bidding of a vengeful White House.
Kash Patel, mark my words, will cause evil in this building behind us, and Republicans who vote for him will rue that day.
Hi, everyone. It's 5 o'clock in New York. In front of that very building, the FBI headquarters, Kash Patel said he would, quote, shut down on day one and reopen the next day as a museum to the deep state, end quote. Democratic senators today railed against Kash Patel, the man Donald Trump chose to be the next FBI director. Just over 2 hours ago, Patel was confirmed to that 10-year post. All Democrats voted along with Republicans Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski against him, making Patel the first FBI director pick ever to be opposed by a bipartisan group of senators. Patel also is the first to be so closely publicly aligned with the president ever. Traditionally, FBI directors try to separate themselves from politics as much as possible. But in his second term, Trump wanted someone he was sure would do his bidding. Trump has had a history of clashing with his FBI directors. He famously fired Jim Comey after Comey refused to drop an investigation into Donald Trump's then National Security Advisor, Mike Flynn. And Christopher Wray, the man he appointed as Comey's successor, tried to stay out of the fray, but ultimately resigned last month when Donald Trump made clear he wanted something different out of his FBI director. Which brings us to today, where Kash Patel, a very vocal critic of the FBI he now leads, is in charge. Patel ushering in a new era for the FBI, an agency that has been filled with turmoil since Trump took office for the second time. It brings with him an obsession with retribution and revenge. His so-called enemies list of over 60 individuals. He wrote this list up in his own book. He says he believes they are part of the deep state, just being one illustration of his commitment to revenge. Yesterday, Senator Chris Murphy had strong words for his Republican colleagues who voted for him to put this man in charge of the nation's preeminent intelligence and security agency.
You're going to put at the head of the FBI, the agency that can arrest anyone they want, put people in jail, a man who thinks that anyone who disagrees with Donald Trump politically is an enemy of the United States. The law loses all meaning when it becomes simply what the president, what the leader on any given day decides. This is the worst possible moment to put a person like Kash Patel in charge of the FBI. My prediction is that if you vote for Kash Patel, more than any other confirmation vote you make, you will come to regret this one to your grave.
That's where we start the hour. Some of our favorite reporters and friends. Voting rights attorney Mark Elias is here. He's the founder of Democracy Docket. New York Times investigative reporter, MSNBC national security contributor Mike Schmidt is back with us. Mark Elias, you are a named and engaged perceived political enemy of Donald Trump's, of Elon Musk's, of the entire sort of cast of characters. And I wonder your thoughts today as Kash Patel becomes confirmed as the director of the FBI.
Donald Trump got the triumvirate that he wanted. You know, he got Kash Patel at the FBI, he got Pam Bondi, an election denier, and also a sycophant of Donald Trump's at the Department of Justice. And of course, he got Pete Hegseth at the Department of Defense. Now, for good measure, he also got Tulsi Gabbard at the Director of National Intelligence. But what Donald Trump has wanted from the beginning is to be able to weaponize government to go after his political opponents. He talked about retribution before the election. He talked about revenge. He talked about being a dictator. Just the other day, they put out an executive order saying the only two people in the executive branch who have the power to interpret the law are the President of the United States and the Attorney General. So we are in very, very dangerous waters right now, and we will see political prosecutions. We will see political investigations. And it is vitally important, and is my plea to everyone, that when we see them, we do not assume that they are business as usual. We do not assume that the Department of Justice or the FBI has a good reason for doing what it's doing. We have to assume that they have a bad reason when they are targeting Democrats or they're targeting other people, including Republicans, who they view as political enemies.
Let me show both of you Kash Patel in his own words on the media and the deep state.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
I think what so many of these guys did, whether it's Brennan, Clapper, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Barr, Haspel, Esper, what have you, I think there's a lot of rule and law breaking. And I don't know that it ever gets to the level of treason singularly with any of them. But what you have is a buildup of so many actions by the deep state that it becomes borderline treasonous to allow those people and their activities in a collective fashion to ever be applied to the United States.
Many of those people viewed as holding the line, some more popular with my audience than others. I mean, Bill Barr, Mark Esper on that list, Comey and McCabe, who tried to hold the line at the FBI under brutal, continuous assault from Donald Trump when they were investigating his campaign's ties to Russia. All of them named public stated targets of Kash Patel's.
Yeah, and I think you have to come back to understand why it is that people that run agencies like the FBI shouldn't say things like that or shouldn't have said them in the past. And that's because when the FBI takes action, the public has to look at it and think, okay, do we trust that they're doing this based on the law and the fact, or is it being done for political purposes? And because of Kash Patel's history and what he said, now everything that the FBI does will be seen through that prism. You just heard all those Democratic lawmakers, what they said. Chris Murphy said, you will regret this vote until your grave. So what does that mean about, at a very basic level, how will the public see FBI action when someone like that is running the institution? And when you're talking about public trust and confidence, that is a major issue. And even if the FBI is making a decision based on the law and the fact, it will have to overcome that perception. And that's one of the reasons why people that run institutions like this shouldn't say things like that. I always remember this story about Comey. I once asked Comey when he was FBI director, I was interviewing him, I said, would you play basketball with Obama? Because Obama was playing basketball in the basement of the FBI on the weekends.
And Comey's tall.
And Comey's 6'8" and would have made a natural person to play in Obama's basketball game. And Comey said, I won't play basketball with him because I think that's too much of a perception of being too close to the president. So it's the president of the United States playing basketball in the basement of the FBI, and the FBI director saying, I won't play with him because I don't think the perception. We are a long, long way from that at this point.
I mean, and we're a long way from Chris Wray, Mark Elias, who came onto Trump's radar, I believe, because Chris Christie knew him. He had aided him legally during Bridgegate. So, you know, Comey was out for refusing to let Mike Flynn go, but he was picked, his replacement, Chris Wray, was picked by Donald Trump. And this is what got statements like what I'm about to play are what got Chris Wray fired or sort of thrown out of favor. So he quit before he could be fired.
Our job as investigators at the FBI is to follow the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it. And I add that last part because one of the things that I've seen over my 7.5 years as FBI director is that people often claim to be very interested in independence and objectivity until independence and objectivity lead to an outcome they don't like. You know, truth is truth, not necessarily what either side wants it to be.
So again, just comparing Trump's first pick to Trump's second pick tells the whole story of how different this presidency promises to be.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you heard him say is that people say they want independence. I don't think Donald Trump says that he wants independence. I don't think Donald Trump even pretends to aspire to have independence. Donald Trump believes that he and he alone can direct the entire federal government. That means who the IRS audits. It means who gets Social Security checks. It means who the FBI investigates, who the Department of Justice prosecutes. And, you know, to Mike's point about people's perception of the fairness of the process, people will be correct to not be trusting the fairness of the process. I mean, you know, we have seen just in the first few weeks, we have seen federal prosecutors be fired. We have seen federal prosecutors resign under circumstances that show just how direct the White House and the political appointees at the Department of Justice who are doing Donald Trump's bidding, how engaged and involved they will be in the minutia of a lot of cases that, like I said, you're already starting to see resignations over. So I suspect we'll see more resignations. We'll see more resignations at the Department of Justice, more resignations at the FBI. But at the end of the day, are people going to have confidence? I mean, compared to a guy who wouldn't play basketball with the President of the United States, no, they won't have confidence, but you can't blame them.